Hello, Miss Teresa here from South Hill Bible Church. Good to see you again. And we are about ready to start our children's Bible class for the week. And so I am going to come sit in my chair. I hope everyone has had a great week. It has been really nice weather outside, except for the wind, a little bit of wind. And William and I, when we were on our walks, we call that Windy Mindy. And it's just our funny way of describing the wind as it's blowing us around. So, I hope you have had some fun things that you've done this week. And I sure would like it if you'd share those with me sometime. Your parents could give me a call, or they could send me an email or a text. It would be great to know what you've been up to. Well, we're going to start today with our prayer, and everybody remembers our prayers. We have 4 kinds of prayers. I bet I wouldn't even have to tell you what they are, but we'll go through them anyway. The first one is I love you prayers, or prayers of adoration. The next one is I'm sorry prayers, or prayers of confession. Third, I'm thankful prayers, or prayers of thanksgiving. And please prayers, or prayers of supplication. And I think that today we are going to do I'm thankful prayers, so prayers of thanksgiving. And I have someone special with me today to have this prayer with us. And this is my prayer bear. And I bet you have a special stuffed animal. And if you want to grab your special stuffed animal and pray along with me, that would be great. So, as we're getting ready to pray, we're going to all close our eyes and we're going to bow our heads, and my little prayer bear is going to sit right here with me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay, let's all close our eyes. Dear God, thank you so much for sending us your son, Jesus. And God, thank you so much for all the things that you are giving us right now. Thank you for having a warm house that we can stay in. Thank you for giving us our parents. Thank you for giving us food to eat and sunshine and rain. And God, thank you for giving us the beautiful flowers and the budding trees to look at. And thank you for giving us the warmer weather. God, we love you so much, and we are thankful for all of these things and more. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, I'm going to put my little prayer bear right over here now. And I wonder if you remember what we did last week. Well, we're going to kind of go over it a little bit. And so we're getting our next lesson here. And let's see. First of all, let you take a look at what our picture was for last week so we can go over the new things here. So last week, this was our picture. I think you can see that. I'll try not to chop my whole head off, but there we go. So this was last week. And last week's we saw a great friendship between David and Jonathan. Does anybody remember about that? Who was Jonathan's father? Does anybody remember? Oh, it was King Saul, wasn't it? Yes. And both of the friends loved and trusted God, David and Jonathan. They were good friends and knew they could count on each other. God used their friendship to protect David from King Saul, who was very jealous of David. What did Jonathan do to warn David that his father wanted to kill him? Does anybody remember? Well, it's right here, and there's the picture, and he pretended to practice that he was using his bow and arrow, and he was pretending to practice shooting those arrows to a field where David was hiding. His instructions to the boy gathering the arrows were really messages for David, weren't they? Yes. Well, the 2 friends were very sad when David had to leave in such a hurry. Today we'll start by talking about some of the places David ran to as he tried to hide from King Saul. Okay? All right. So here's this one. Here's this week's right here. Okay, let's see if you can get that in a little bit better there. Okay, so David ran for his life while Saul chased him every step of the way. First, he ran to a city where many priests lived. The high priest gave David some bread and sword that had belonged to the giant Goliath. You remember who Goliath was? That's right. Goliath was the giant. Yes, Goliath was the giant that David slayed. But David couldn't stay there. He had to keep on running. He was in danger, wasn't he? He finally went to the Philistine city of Gath. Do you remember who the Philistines were? Were they friends or were they enemies? Anybody know what the answer to that is? They weren't friends. They were enemies, yes. So, do you remember that Goliath was a Philistine? And who killed Goliath? That's right. That was David killed Goliath. Remember that? Yeah. He was a big guy, wasn't he? Wow, that's amazing. All right. So, right, these guys hated David and the Israelites, but David knew he had to find some place to hide. He had to figure out where to go. Where was he be safe? There was a problem. The servants of the Philistine king knew who David was, the Israelite commander who had killed thousands of Philistines. So they did not like him, did they? No siree. David was afraid that he would have to run for his life. Do you think that that would have been a good place for him to hide? Is where the Philistines were? Do you think so? No, it would not have been, would it? He was afraid. He had to think of something so they could send him away without hurting him. Okay, so we're going to turn in our Bibles now to 1 Samuel 21, verses 12 and 13. Everybody have a Bible? I've got mine here. Okay, for 1 Samuel 21, verses 12 and 13. David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So he pretended to be insane in their presence. And while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the floors of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard. Wow, that sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? You bet. So we just read that, and that's what he did. Okay, David pretended to be a crazy person. That's certainly what he did, isn't it? He scratched at the gate and drooled on his beard. Do you think that that would make them think he was crazy? I do. The king saw how David was acting and thought he was crazy and made him leave. Whew, that was close. David escaped and he ran to a cave. While he was hiding there, a group of about 400 men came to join up with him. David was now commander of these men, and they stayed with him and helped him. With God's help, David and his men, kept ahead of Saul. David still helped others, even when he was being chased by Saul. He and his men saved a city called Keilah from the Philistines. But Paul found out that David was in Keilah. Aha, he thought. David is trapped inside the city. Now I've got him. We'll finally capture David. But God watched David, warned David. He was watching after David, and he warned him that Saul was coming. So he and his men got away. One time, Saul almost caught up. Do you see that picture on the top there? He almost caught up to David again. While Saul was on one side of a mountain, David and his men were hurrying to get away on the other side of the mountain. Just as Saul's men were chasing in, a messenger came. "My king," he said, "hurry and come, for the Philistines have attacked the land." So Saul and his men left the mountain, and David was safe for now. It wasn't long before Saul went after David again. One day, while David and his men were headed in the back of the big hiding in the back of the big cave, Saul came in, but he didn't know David and his men were there. Okay, so we're going to read another part in some other verse in the Bible. Now we're going to move to 1 Samuel, verse 24:4. Okay, Give you a chance to find that. 1 Samuel 24:4. The men said, "This is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, I will give your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish." Then David crept up unnoticed and cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Well, now David, sounds to me like he had an opportunity to kill Saul, didn't he? Is that right? So, but did David kill Saul? No, he did not. What did he do instead? He cut off a corner of his robe. David understood that God had made Saul king and that he would be the next king. He knew God's timing was perfect and he was willing to wait for God. He knew God would not be pleased with him if he took revenge on Saul for all he had done. That's right. God would not want one of us to hurt another person, would he? No, of course not. What is revenge? Does anyone know what revenge is? Revenge is when you try to get back at someone or make them pay for doing something against you. How about mercy? Does anyone know what that means? Anybody know what mercy means? We hear mercy a lot, don't we? That's a word that we use a lot. Mercy is when you forgive others and don't punish them for something, even when they deserve to be punished. And that is what Jesus did for us, isn't it? Yes, it is mercy, God's mercy upon us. Even though we have done bad things, he still has mercy upon us if we ask his forgiveness. Isn't that wonderful? It is wonderful. Wow. After Saul left the cave, David came out and called to him. He showed Saul the piece of robe he had cut off to prove he had been close enough to kill him in the cave, but he didn't. Saul understood David showed mercy to him. David did not hurt Saul when he could have taken revenge and killed him. Saul finally went home, but David and his men stayed there in the wilderness. Sometime later, some people came and said to King Saul, "Did you know that David is hiding out in our area?" Once again, Saul decided to go and hunt David down. He and his army commander, along with 3,000 men of Israel, and they came and they camped on a hill. David's spies saw them and told David that Saul was camped nearby. Let's keep on looking what happened next. Well, in the chapter of 1 Saul, chapter 26, somebody sneaked into Saul's camp. You know who that was? It was David and Abishai. David and Abishai were able to creep into Saul's camps and get right next to Saul without anyone waking up. Do you see this? What did David say when he wanted to kill Saul with his own spear? David told him no. What things did they do to prove they had been in Saul's camp, close enough to kill him? They stole a spear and a jar of water. Right, that's what they did. What did Saul think when he saw that the spear and jar were taken by David? He realized David had spared his life again. Twice he had spared his life. This was the second time David spared Saul's life when he could have killed him. David showed mercy again, even though Saul continued to break his promises and try to hurt David. But David believed it was more important to obey God and trust him instead of taking revenge on Saul. So that's a pretty important lesson that we learned, isn't it? It sure is. And it is because of God's mercy and because of David's mercy that God had great favor for him. And God shows us mercy every day. David showed mercy instead of revenge. Wow. All right. Well, William is going to join me now, and we are going to sing our song. So is everybody ready? Let's get up. Okay. All right, you ready? Well, here we go. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, higher, lift up Jesus higher. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, higher, lift up Jesus higher. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Lower, 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 lower. Lower, lower, stamp Satan lower. Lower, 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 lower. Lower, lower, stamp Satan lower. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, higher, lift up Jesus higher. Lower, 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 lower. Lower, lower, stamp Satan lower. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, higher, lift up Jesus higher. Lower, 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 lower. Lower, lower, stamp Satan lower. One more time. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, higher, lift up Jesus higher. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. Cast your burden unto Jesus, for he cares for you. All right. And Jesus does care for us, doesn't he? You bet he does. And he shows mercy upon us. He loves us. It's all great. All right. So now we're going to play Simon Says. And so I'm going to start, and everybody needs to stand up. I'm not tricking you. I'm not saying that Simon Says and trying to get you to stand up. Now I'm going to start. Okay. Simon says, jump up and down. Simon says, turn around. Simon says, touch your left elbow. Simon says, touch your right elbow. Simon says, pat your head. Simon says, rub your tummy. Simon says, touch your knees. Simon says, do a jumping jack. Stop doing jumping jacks.
Wait. I thought you meant...
I gotcha!
No, you didn't, because you said do a jumping jack.
All right.
That's not plural.
Okay.
So I did a jumping jack.
Okay. And now it's your turn.
Okay. Simon says touch your knees. Simon says turn to the left. Simon says turn to the right. Simon says touch your ears. Turn around.
I almost did. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Simon says touch your knees. Simon says touch your right elbow. Simon says touch your left elbow. Simon says turn to the right. Simon says turn to the left. Simon says turn to the middle. Simon says turn to the left. Simon says turn around. Touch your knees.
I almost did it. Okay, I'm going to do it again now.
Okay.
All right. Simon says do a jumping jack. Simon says turn around. Simon says touch your left knee. Simon says touch your right knee. Simon says touch your hips. Simon says touch your head. Simon says touch your tummy. Simon says touch your legs. Simon says touch your elbows.
There we go.
Simon says turn around. Simon says kick your left leg. Simon says kick your right leg. Simon says touch your elbows. Simon says touch your shoulders. Touch your head. Did I get anybody? All right, William's going to do it one more time for us.
Okay, Simon says turn to the right. Simon says turn to the left. Simon says touch your knees. Simon says pat your head. Simon says do 2 jumping jacks. Simon says turn around. Turn around again.
I almost did it. All right, well, we still have enjoyed being with you today. We wish we could be in person at the church, but we love you all and miss you, so we're going to come around here and we're going to say goodbye, and we will see you in a week, and we look forward to when we get to see you back at the church. We can't wait. That's going to be really great. Okay, so bye, everybody. We miss you. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.